Hey guys, today I'm going to be working on this Generac generator. I picked it up last night off of Facebook Marketplace. People were giving it away, surprisingly. And with that being said, of course it's going to have some issues, right? So, the ad said when they turn the fuel valve on that it just leaks gas out of the carburetor. I'm not going to test that because I don't want to make a huge mess in my garage, but I figured that is the case because when I turn the choke, it's stuck. It will not hardly move, and that usually happens when the carb floods over and gums up the choke shaft and probably the throttle shaft as well. I'm sure it's probably gummed up. Yeah, that will not move like at all actually. So I'm gonna have to figure out how to get that off without damaging it, hopefully. So first things first, I'm gonna get you guys set up in a tripod, and I'm gonna try to get the carburetor off. All right, let's see what I can do here. I'm hoping that this frame doesn't interfere with removing the carburetor, which it probably will, but you never know. Yeah, a lot of gas in that air filter. Maybe it's oil. I think it's oil from someone oiled the filter last. I'm gonna shine a flashlight in there. Let's see what I can see. Oh yeah, it is totally varnished up in there. Let me zoom in for you guys. I don't know if I'm able to show you that just yet, but it's pretty varnished up in there. So, yep, I'm gonna spray that down with some carburetor cleaner, see if that'll loosen it up a little bit. I do not want to force that, because if you force it, then something's gonna break. Let that kind of soak in there. I would say that if your choke shaft is made out of plastic, I would not recommend spraying carb cleaner in there, because I've noticed that it tends to swell up the plastic and it jams up even more. So if you do decide to use it, just be very careful, I guess. I'm gonna zoom you guys back out here. Okay, let me grab some tools here and we'll get started. Now, I don't think this engine or this generator has hardly any hours on it. It's still got the plastic wrap on the fuel tank cap. Huh. The threads are kind of boogered up or something. Maybe they just got varnish on them. Okay, two 10mm nuts. Hold that on. And then disconnect the vent tube or the PCV hose on the back. Nothing too out of the ordinary there. Then your plastic gasket spacer thing. Fuel valve is off, so I'm going to pull that line off real quick. Let me see if I can get a light in here so you guys can see better. Is that better? Yeah, I think so. I did take the fuel cap off and took a sniff of what fuel was in there, and it's not good. I'm guessing it's probably at a minimum 3 years old, so that's gonna have to be addressed. But I don't know if you can see into that carburetor. At the very front here, there's some like black sludge. Looking down the throat of it, it's pretty bad, to say the least. See where I can put this. All right, so I'm gonna gently pull on the carburetor here. Should come right off. I'm gonna tap that with a rubber mallet, break that seal, varnish and seal. Dang, it's really on there. Don't want to break it. There we go. Yeah, I think the varnish from the gas got in between the gasket and the engine or something and caused it to kind of stick. Let's see. Yeah, this throttle shaft is completely frozen. Dang. Both of these are. Well, the choke wiggles back and forth a little bit. There we go. You see that? Now it works. This shaft is plastic, like I said. Probably shouldn't have sprayed it with carb cleaner, but oh well, it's kind of too late now. The throttle shaft, I hope, is not plastic. Oh, there we go. To get this throttle linkage off, you have to open this up to full throttle and pull the carb away from the engine slightly. Okay, now that's fully open. I'm gonna pop that spring off and then the linkage. And now we should be home free if there's enough room. Oh, thank God. So sometimes this frame piece on generators will be in the way to where you cannot pull that off without having to at least take the engine mount off and kind of shift the engine over a little bit. Or I've seen some people even just cut this and re-weld it. I'm not going to do all that work. It seems kind of unnecessary to me, but anyway, here's the carburetor. Yeah, it's pretty nasty in there. Should be nice and clean. I did rip the gasket on the back, but I did buy a kit of gaskets for these engines. If you didn't know, these are clones of a Honda engine, and it's basically like the same one you'd see at Harbor Freight, the Predator. So I ordered a bunch of gaskets for those a while back, so when I had something like this, I could work on it easily. So I'm gonna pull this, don't know if I want to pull this plastic off actually, but I might have to. I'm gonna throw it in the ultrasonic cleaner with it on there. Maybe it'll loosen it up to where I can pull it off, but I'm gonna pull the bowl off, take the whole carb apart, and yeah, so I'm gonna bring this over to my bench and show you how that goes. Hopefully you guys can see that. Okay, so when taking one of these bowls off the carburetor, you'll notice it's got a drain going off to one side. Just keep note of where that is so you can put the bowl back in the right spot. Probably should have drained this outside, but oh well. Just let it peel over my workbench. Why not? Oh. Yep, it's got some junk on the end of it. That's not good. Wow, okay. So far, not too bad. There's definitely a lot of crap in there, but kind of crusty too. But yeah, you can tell by the discoloration right here that that's varnished fuel. So no good. So what I'm thinking is what caused the carburetor to flood over like that is the needle and seat were not sealing properly due to maybe varnish or some kind of other contaminant in the gas. I don't know. Oh, choke rod just fell off. I don't know what caused it, but we're gonna fix it. Oh yeah, there's some specks of junk kind of on there. I just wiped it off, but around the brass seat, there was definitely some junk on there. So interesting. I am now going to pull out that main jet and also the pilot jet. Honestly, if you're not in a rush to get one of these running again, you might as well just order a new carburetor. I guarantee they're under 20 bucks on Amazon. Oh, did that just come loose, or did I strip it? No, my screwdriver stripped it. So that's in there super tight. What should I do here? What I think I'll do is put this in a vise, take this plastic off, put the carb in a vise, and push down on this very hard so I can turn the screw out. So that did not work out very well. I was very impatient and I just cranked on that screw, and I think I might have stripped the thread on it, or the slot for the screwdriver to fit in there. So I'm gonna finish taking the rest of it off or apart, and then I'm gonna throw it in the ultrasonic cleaner, and maybe that'll loosen it up to where I can get it. If not, I can drill that out, and I have some spare parts I could throw in here. But I'd like to finish this first. So this screw right here, that comes right out. They put a cap on it, so you can't really get on it with a screwdriver. So you kind of have to do it by hand. Maybe I can pop that off. Yeah, okay. Yep, there you go. Now you can get a screwdriver on it. I hate when they do that kind of stuff. It's like, why? Oop, drop that. I'll find that in a minute. I'll pop this pilot jet out gently. Okay. Now I can throw it in the ultrasonic cleaner, which I've had preheating for probably 2 hours now. Let me throw that in there. All right. Put that in there with the main jet facing down. I'm going to put the bowl in there. The float, I'm not going to. I think that's about it. Let that soak for a little bit. Okay, I'm going to turn the camera off now so you don't have to listen to the ultrasonic cleaner buzzing away. It will pretty much blow your eardrums out if I do it while filming, so I'll bring you back when that's done. Here is a quick update. So after about 10 minutes in the ultrasonic cleaner, I got the emulsion tube and main jet out. You see I kind of damaged that jet a little bit, but I think I can reuse it still. It's definitely blocked up. Can't see any light through that. So now that I got those out of the carburetor, I'm going to put it in a separate container and put that in the ultrasonic cleaner this time. Yeah, there's some junk in there. I don't know if you can see that, but needs a bit more time in there. Choke shaft is completely normal. Oh, throttle shaft. There we go. That needs to like move super freely or else it's not going to work right. What I'm going to do is take that little screw out, pull the plate out, and I can pull the whole shaft out and clean it that way, I think. Maybe I can just keep going like this. That works too. Spray some carb cleaner in there. Kind of work that in there. I'm sure as the engine runs, it'll kind of free itself up, but I'd rather have it pretty good before I put it back on, so. Yeah, I don't know if I like that. I'm going to take it off. I'm going to see if I have another main jet to put in too. I got to see if there's a number on it that tells you the jet size, because that has to match up. When I put that screw back in, I'm going to put some Loctite on it so it doesn't vibrate loose and get sucked into the engine. I have seen that happen before. Come on. Okay, throttle plate is out. Oh yeah. Look at all that crap on it. Down in this hole right here, it was stuck. So the ultrasonic cleaner should now be able to clean that. And yeah. You know what? I'm probably going to pull this choke out too, because there's some junk in there I'd like to clear out. So this, it actually goes through a piece of plastic. You pull it out that way. Yeah. Ooh. That does not want to move very well. I don't know if I want to risk that. I think I might leave good enough alone. Yeah. I do not want to break this, make this worse than it already is. Okay, back into the ultrasonic cleaner. Give it another 10-15 minutes or so and see how it comes out. Alrighty. So, put the throttle shaft back in. Moves perfectly freely. So, in addition to the ultrasonic cleaner, I took a paper towel and a screwdriver and kind of just reamed out both of these holes. Got them nice and clean. Okay, so on the back side of the carburetor where the throttle plate is, you see those, let's see if I can point to it. You see those 4 holes in there? You want to poke that out with some kind of wire. I'm going to take a little piece of wire, pull out a single strand of it, and kind of bend it to like a 90-degree angle. And just make sure they're not blocked up, you know. Anyway, you get the point. I already did that. You can also spray some carb cleaner just to kind of ensure that it is cleared out. I will also be going over every hole on this with compressed air to blow it all out to make sure that's all good. Choke shaft is good. Okay, I'm going to blow this out with air real quick and bring you right back. So now I am cleaning out the pilot jet, emulsion tube, and the main jet. See, you got light through it perfectly round, nice and cleared out. So even after the ultrasonic cleaner, this thing was still blocked up full of crud, so I had to poke it out with that piece of wire. I am not going to use carb cleaner on this because they have 2 rubber O-rings, so it will destroy them. I do not want to do that because I don't think I have any spares of this. So I'm just gonna, obviously you want to make sure the big hole in the side is clear, and then through the bottom, poke that out, and then blow it out with some air if you have it available, which I will do now. Okay, that's that. Oh, I forgot to clean off this. I'm gonna scrape that gunk off a little bit later. All right, so first, let's put throttle shaft back in. I believe that went like that. Dry that off completely. Now this thing looks like it's dirty, but it's just some staining, I guess. I tried to clean it and it does not come off. Now this part can be kind of a challenge, especially if you got a camera in front of you filming. Okay, line that up. Where is my Loctite? Just put a very small amount on the screw. You probably don't need it. The threads are kind of hard going in to that throttle shaft, so kind of acts like a interference fit, whatever they call that. But I'm putting this on there just as a extra precaution, I suppose. Okay. Okay. Now make sure your throttle opens and closes completely. Sometimes on these Chinese carburetors, they will stick or not open or close all the way if you don't have the throttle plate in perfect. But this one I got lucky on, first try. Okay. What else do we have? We have the pilot jet. Oh, here's another tip. These don't like to go back in sometimes, so take a little bit of WD-40 on the O-ring, and it'll help it slide right in. Missed a little bit. Doesn't have to be a lot. You see how these have flat spots on them? On the top and the bottom, you want it parallel with the carburetor, or in line. That's all the way down. Good. Then I will put this. This is the idle speed set screw. Doesn't really matter where you put it on this generator. Just don't put it in too far. So what I do, usually on these is, you want to see like 2 threads coming through the other side, just about. Like I said, doesn't really matter in this application, but just an FYI. Also, there's an adjustment screw right here, but it's not really removable. As you can see, it's got no head on it, so you see where it comes through on the other side there. If I really wanted to, I could maybe grind a head in that, take it out with a screwdriver, and also this Welch plug, but I'm not going to go that far. If it doesn't run correctly like the way it is now, I'm just going to buy a new carburetor. Like I said, they're very, very cheap online, so it's not even really worth going that far to clean it out, in my opinion. But these are probably one of the most mass-produced engines and carburetors in history, I'm sure. But Anyway, emulsion tube back in. You see this part right here with the collar on it. That goes up. And then always want to like push it down with something to make sure it's fully seated in. Or else if it's not going in all the way and you just ram that main jet in, it'll do more damage. Which I think this one, yeah, it's not going through the middle. That is odd. That is very odd. Oh, there it goes. See, now it's, I don't know if you guys can see that. Right in the middle of that carburetor. You can see a little emulsion tube sticking out there. That's what you want to see. Now, I checked. I did not have an extra main jet for this, but you see the threads are only screwed up if you were trying to, not the threads, but the slot is kind of screwed up if you tried to loosen it again. But tighten it, the threads are still good. So I'm just going to throw it back in there. Like I said, if I have any other problems with this, I'm just going to buy a new carburetor. I'm just doing this for fun, I guess, to see if I could save this. And it's always highly recommended to use the right size screwdriver for these because they're just brass. They strip out incredibly easy. You ain't got to go crazy tight with them either. So, okay, what's next? Choke lever thing. Doing this right? Oh, it doesn't go on that one, stupid. It goes on that one. Duh. I guess that post might be used for a different kind of choke setup. I don't really know. Nice and clear in there. That's what I want to see. So I wasn't going to bother really scraping the gasket off of this. Like I said, I have a kit that comes with new stuff, so it's a good idea to replace these. They sometimes will warp and they will not seal correctly, so I don't know. You get these for like $1 or something in a kit. They're not very expensive. You also get all the necessary gaskets, which is awesome. Oop, that got water in it. How did that get wet? Anyway, let's see what I got here. I think this is the gasket for the... Actually, the front doesn't have that gasket. It has that rubber seal on this. Now I need the back gasket, which I think I have in my storage over here. Nope, that's for a Honda lawnmower. Here's the right one. So, is this the right one? I can't really tell. Should be. I'm gonna take a look at this and I'll be back. Alright, so I did find them. So this one goes towards the engine. You can tell because it'll match up with the exhaust port. There it goes there. Then this side, for some reason I'm drawing a blank. I want to say it was this one. Yeah, because there's the vent for that. And then that matches up with this. Probably should have paid a little more attention to that when I took it apart. But I do believe, because it doesn't obviously go any other way, I don't think. So that's just a vent for the carburetor. That ain't right. Yeah, it's got to be this. Yep. Okay, that's what I'm going with. We'll see if it works or not. I have a feeling it will. All right. Sorry about that. Now I got this. I'm going to sand down a little bit. Piece of sandpaper to get the rust off. Probably not necessary, but makes me feel better. I'm going to spray that off too. The bolt came out really nice. All that stuff in there you see is just staining from the old fuel, or maybe I think there might have been water in it. It kind of ate away at the coating. I really don't know, but should be good enough. All right. Next, you want to inspect your needle to make sure it's not worn down. This one does have a wear line on it, as you can see. I'm going to put it back together and see if it seals or not, but if it floods over again, I'm going to replace that. I'm pretty sure I have a spare. And that spring is on there so it doesn't flood over while you're transporting the generator, I believe. Like when the thing's bouncing around in the back of your truck, that spring helps it stay sealed so it doesn't leak everywhere. So this into this side. I'm noticing a lot of the threads on this are not very, not cut very well. All the screws are coming out really rough, and it's not because of the varnish like I thought, because that was kind of clear on the threads, but I don't know. Chinese quality, I suppose. Nice and tight. This fell off again. Choke. All right, I can't believe it, but ready to go back together. All right, got the gasket cleaned off the engine very good. So it's almost impossible to really get in here with a razor to clean this all off properly. So I just took the studs out and cleared it off that way. Made it 10 times easier, and it only takes like a minute to pull them off. So basically what you do is you put one of the nuts on backwards, maybe about half the way up the threads, and then you put the other nut on from the other side on the same stud like this, and then you tighten them together very tight, and then you loosen the outer one, and the stud comes right out. Don't force it though, because sometimes you will pull the threads. I have done that before, so just want to warn you. I am no means an expert, but I have worked on quite a few. Fit on there good. I'm really happy with these gaskets. I got them on Amazon. You got a whole assortment kit for like $8 or something. I got some for Honda push mower engines. I got them for these Predator clones, and I forgot the other ones, but they were just I ordered them for like the most common stuff I work on. So this goes on next. Also, I want to show you this. So you see this slot right here. The plug wire goes into that spot and clips in just to kind of hold it. And then on some models where the fuel tank is actually attached to the engine, the fuel line would run through here to the carburetor. But since this is obviously a generator with a big tank on top, it doesn't run that way. So there's that. I'm going to blow the last bit of water out of there. Sorry if that was loud. New gasket on. Ooh, they didn't make the holes quite big enough on this gasket. Hopefully this goes on all the way. I spoke too soon about the quality. See what happens. Yeah, it's not going to go on all the way. So when it gets down to the back, the stud actually gets wider, so the carburetor centers on there properly. So what I'm going to do is drill out these holes on the gasket. Just open it up very slightly, and then it should go right on. All right, got that back on. I'm gonna pull off the choke just for now so I can get this in here easier. So throttle's got to be open all the way. Oop. That's got to slide on. And then there's a slot where that throttle goes in, goes down all the way. And then once that closes, you see it can't pop out. And then there's a little hole down here for the spring. Can't see, my hand's blocking all the light. One of these days we'll get a better lighting setup. Maybe once these videos get more views. Dang, that one's not cooperating. I'm trying to be careful not to bend that spring or stretch it. Came off easy. All right, I'll bring you guys back once I get that back on. Sorry about that. I got it figured out. Spring's back on. You see how that moves? Snaps back right by itself. That's how it's supposed to be. As you can see before, it was not doing that. Both choke and throttle were completely stuck. I'm going to take a sample of this fuel real quick. Make sure I'm not going to just flood my new carburetor with crappy gas. Let me empty out a water bottle here. All right, got a water bottle. It's going to have water in it, obviously. Got decent flow. These little lines, they don't, These little lines, they don't put out much fuel, so. Might take a little bit to fill it up. I'm amazed by the shape of this generator's in. I got it from actually a pretty wealthy looking neighborhood. And there was a big dumpster out front. So I assume they were moving and just didn't want this stuff anymore, or I don't really know, but they're happy to see it go, that's for sure. I did find a sticker on this that says manufactured in 2011, but I honestly don't think it was used more than once or twice. In the area I picked this up in, I don't think the power goes out there very much. Alright, that's enough. Turn that off. Sometimes these fuel valves, they do not work, and you can turn them off and they still put gas in the carburetor, so you don't want that. This gas really doesn't look that bad. It smells not great, but I don't know, it's almost full to the top. That's probably a 2 or 3 gallon tank, maybe even more. So I'm just gonna run it nonstop, let it, you know, run all that fuel out, and put some fresh stuff in. But I don't want to have to, like, I don't know how I'd dispose of that besides using it as weed killer. I don't want to use that much, obviously. That's kind of a environmental hazard. So put the fuel line back on. Let's get you set up closer. There we go. Okay. I'm going to turn it back on. See if it floods over. We should be able to tell relatively quickly if it starts coming out the front. Then we know that needle was no good. So far, so good. I see nothing. I'm gonna let that sit for, oh, yep, it's flooding over again. Took a minute, but it started flooding. So we have another issue. Where's it coming from? It is pouring out of the emulsion tube. So that needle is probably not sealing properly. All right, I'm gonna pull it back off and inspect that needle and seat a little bit better. All right, so off camera, I went ahead and I did find another needle to put in there. It didn't look much better than the one that was already in there, so I don't have high hopes for it. I actually found several needles that would work, but they're all kind of worn. Some are worse than the one that's causing this to leak. So there are a few things that could cause it to leak or to flood over. One would be, needle and seat not sealing due to something being worn or damaged or just plugged up. Second would be a float filling up with fuel and not floating back up all the way. And then, the vent being blocked for the bowl, which I have checked all the other things and everything seems to be good. So I don't really get it. So, well, I guess it's got to be the needle then, right? So far, so good. Kind of odd to see that needle worn down so much with the amount of hours this thing has on it, which is not many. And I think it's good. I'm gonna shake it around a little bit. Bounce it around. I think we got it this time. I'm sure the oil needs to be changed too. I'm gonna run it and get it warm and do that. I think we're good. Last time it leaked in like 30 seconds. I think it's been longer now. Only thing to do is put it back together, try it out, and see what happens, I suppose, right? Okay. This video is getting kind of long. I do apologize if you guys don't like the longer videos. Let me know what you guys think. Do you guys like the longer videos, or should I keep them shorter? I'd be curious to see what you guys think. Getting ahead of myself. Oops. Fumbling around here. Okay, I got it back on there easier that time. Still no flooding. Cool. I think we got it this time. Doesn't take much to make them flood over and cause a mess. I'm going to test it a bunch of times, before I sell it to make sure it's not going to do that to somebody else. That's no good for business, I might end up keeping this one and selling my other generator, but I'm not 100% sure on that quite yet. I do have another 2,000 watt generator. It's got a really small tank. It's made for short runs on a job site with a small little fuel tank. This you could probably run 6-8 hours, I'm sure. Okay, that's back on. Everything's sitting nice. Good. Carb nuts. Whoops. I'm quite happy with how this one was designed. make it so you can easily service the air filter without having to do anything crazy, like I mentioned before, having to take the engine out of the frame. I actually have a gas-powered water pump that needed some carburetor work. I'd accidentally left fuel in it, and when I go to take the carburetor off, can't. It hits this. I had to take the whole thing off the frame. Just another 20 minutes of aggravation trying to pull that stuff apart. Not exactly what I like to do, just to clean a carb, but it's the way things are designed, I suppose. All right, I'm going to leave the air filter and cover off for now so I can actively monitor it for flooding. I'm going to move this outside, fire it up, see if we have power, which we should. So I'll see you guys in a minute. What do you guys think? Is it gonna run? Is it gonna flood over again? I'm excited. All right, so let's choke on. Where's the switch? Switch is on. Power switch is also on. Fuel is on. Has oil in it. Let's give it a shot. Well, fired up right away. Doesn't want to stay running though. Wonder if we're getting any fuel into that bowl. Wonder if it's now stuck shut. Well, obviously it's got to have some in it because it wouldn't run, but let's try this again. Well, to be honest, that's kind of disappointing. I did, off camera, I sprayed around the intake, and it does not have any vacuum leaks. So that means the carburetor still got junk in it somewhere. And cleaning it out again is probably not going to do anything, but at least I know it runs now and puts out power. So I will order a new carburetor for it, obviously, since I know everything else is good with it. Yeah, what are your thoughts on it, guys? Is there something else that I missed? That's always a possibility. I think it had something to do with not being able to remove that adjustment screw right there. I bet that is it. Not being able to remove it and clear out that passageway all the way. But not a big deal. I'd feel better about replacing that carburetor anyway. That way I'm starting fresh. Don't have to worry about it. So, anyways, stay tuned for the part 2 of this video when I put the new carburetor on and change the oil. I may or may not show the oil part, but I will show the new carburetor install. But anyway, thank you guys for watching, and sorry that this video didn't turn out as good as I had hoped. I'll see you in the next one.